Hey guys, thanks for watching Be Better Golf. Take a second and click the subscribe button. So just make sure that that button is depressed, because we have seen that people who subscribe to Be Better Golf, on average, get twice as good at golf. That's not scientific, but maybe a little subscribe button. Because people do. I get emails every day about how they saw a video of Mike's or one of the other instructors on the channel that was a big game changer for them. This video, Mike, is going to be called, I don't know if the title will be this, but my own title for it is going to be called Mike Malaska's Excellent Adventure. So, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
You're coming up with some stuff here.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
So we know Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure was a time travel movie, so this is going to be a time travel.
Okay.
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 Okay. So tell me, what age were you when you were at probably your lowest moment as a player, as far as confusion and you were just going in the wrong direction? Tell me about that time in your life, because you talked about this before.
I was probably 25 to 27 years old, right in that range.
So let's consider that you're going back, and your 26-year-old self is sitting in a locker room just before he's about to go practice, and you have 10 minutes to talk to him and say, listen, I look like your dad's older brother.
I understand.
But I'm you. What would you tell him for 10 minutes? You have his undivided attention.
The first thing I'd say, hey pal, listen, you've worked your butt off. You've done everything you can do. You shouldn't be down on yourself, because there isn't anything. You've practiced, you've worked really hard, you've committed yourself. So first of all, don't be down on yourself for where you're at relative to your effort level that you've put into it. That's the first thing I would say.
At that point in your life, were there some people that were telling you, it's like, hey, listen, you just haven't tried hard enough. You haven't worked hard enough. You haven't earned it.
Yeah, not too many. There were some that said I didn't practice certain parts of my game enough, but that really wasn't true either. I worked really hard. I was there in the morning hitting balls, was there all day. I played golf, I played the tournaments. I probably didn't play as many tournaments as I should, but the effort level I put into practice and what I was doing, I really didn't have any more time in the day. That one thing, I actually practiced too much. Mm-hmm. But the effort level that I put in, the commitment level that I had, and my wife supporting me and what was going on there, my parents, and I shouldn't have felt bad about where I was relative to the effort. So that's the first thing I would say. You would
let yourself know that, hey, the effort level you're putting in and your commitment to getting better and all this stuff, hey, that's great.
It should have put you to a much higher level than you're at right now relative to where you started, where you were when you were in high school and first year of college. Yeah. Then I would say, here's what you need to do, Mike. Go grab your baseball bat, go back out, go play some baseball, go hit some balls, and get back into the motion and feel what you're doing when you hit a baseball or hit a tennis ball. And start focusing more on the motion of being an athlete than the positions that everybody's told you to get into. That would have turned my career around. Just take a baseball bat out and just go start hitting balls and feel where the bat is and how and when you change directions and how your body works. And what are you thinking about, and what are you feeling? What does the motion feel like? Because that's how I started the game. It was a low outside pitch in baseball. So all of those motions and those activities were correct. People took me out of my athletic instincts and put me into a golf swing, and then said, well, now just let it go. Well, and be athletic. Well, what I understood as athleticism and what they had me doing, I couldn't. It didn't do this, because when I would do what they were trying to get me to do and then try to feel athletically like I did, the ball would go sideways. So I would say, look, your effort level's been phenomenal. However, you've gotten away from what's important, and that's you being an athlete. Go back, get your baseball bat, get your tennis racket out, feel the motion of it, get hooked on the motion of how you move.
And you would maybe tell yourself, as you said to me in another video, so that the 26-year-old Mike Malaska needs to forget the idea that a golf swing is somehow separate, somehow different from these other athletic things that you were really good at.
No question. When I started, it was the same as everything I did. It felt when I threw a ball or hit a baseball. Swinging a golf club, the tension level and the motion and the change of everything felt the same. It was just in a different area, and the golf ball was sitting still, so it was easier than baseball because the ball didn't move. But the motion and the hand action and all of that, and then I got talked into what a golf swing and a golf grip and what you were in the positions you were supposed to be in, and pretty soon, I mean, at 25, I honestly don't know how I made it past that particular couple of years, because I seriously, it got to the point where I'd walk out to the range to practice and I'd look at the balls and I'm sitting there going, I don't even know where to start. I don't know what to do. I don't know what swing to try. I don't know. Right. I'm lost. I'd stand up on the tee not afraid I was going to miss-hit it. I was afraid I was going to swing and miss the ball. Completely. Just miss it. Mm-hmm. I mean, the anxiety I went through and the sleepless nights and the cold sweats going to the, I mean, why I continued to go through it, and the fact that my wife stayed behind me when I was trying to sort through a lot of it, I still to this day aren't sure why I did it, other than now I've learned a lot where I can help a lot of other people not go through that same process. So that would be the two things would be, you've worked hard, but you got off track relative to being an athlete. Go back, do these things, try to, if it doesn't fit and it doesn't feel like this, don't do it.
Right. Join an adult baseball league in your spare time.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Go play tennis in a pickup tennis league. Just
sure.
Go do something and feel athleticism at its purest, and then put that back into your golf swing and forget the other stuff.
Okay. So what if you got the bounce back question from yourself during this talk and say like, hey, I've been to XYZ teacher, I've been to this guy, I've been to that guy, I've been to this guy. In this process, I hear what you're saying, but I do want another pair of eyes of somebody to watch me.
Yeah.
Beyond just like me trying to unlock my own athleticism. Who do you think I should go to? How can I use another person to help me shortcut this process to get better?
Well, okay, if we're going back to when I was 25 or 6 and what we had access to then, because
no video.
Yeah, no video, no launch monitors. I mean,
some Polaroids.
Yeah, I mean, now you can take your cell phone, and once you know what you're trying to do and you know what you're trying to feel and how you're trying to move, you take a video of it, and if the camera's in the right place, you can see if you're on track or not. And you've got launch monitors and stuff that give you the data. So that would have been easy to do. I mean, once somebody gets it now, they shouldn't lose it, because you've got all these technologies that can help you calibrate yourself on a daily basis. If I had to go back to me at 25 or 26, I mean, the one person that helped me the most was Joe Nichols.
He's alive then.
He was alive then.
Yeah.
And I should have just stayed with him and just did what he said, because I would go with him and he was so different in the way he had me, the drills he had me do. Now I understand why they worked, but I would hit it better than I'd hit it any other time, other than when I was 17 or 18. And a lot of what he was doing played back into how I hit a baseball and how I did a lot of other things. But because it was so different than everybody else, I'm out there on the range doing drills, and people are looking at me going, what are you doing?
Right. That
and
doesn't look like a golf swing.
I mean, and I'd be out there on the golf course hitting shots under pressure, and guys would go, have you lost it totally? Yeah. And I go, yeah, but look where the ball's going. They go, yeah, that's ridiculous. And so at 25, I wasn't strong enough to, I caved to the people around me and the players and that.
Like, hey, this guy's making $500,000 a year on the tour, and he's telling me like, hey, whatever that goofy stuff you're doing before your swing, you need to.
That isn't going to work.
I don't know anybody on tour doing that. Okay, so you were a little stubborn then. So what if you could see, maybe he didn't even say anything, but this 26-year-old self, you can see when you tell him, hey, go back to Joe, what are you going to tell him that's going to convince him, because you know that when he goes back to listen to Joe give him some of these drills, what are you going to tell him in a nutshell about why the Joe Nichols stuff works as far as getting to corners and swinging level?
Well, it all comes back to, okay, you get on the golf course, you got to hit a shot for your life. Does it work?
Yeah.
It worked. So I could hit it. I could make the ball do something or not do something and hit it and be aggressive with it under pressure. Okay, so somebody asked me, what's a perfect swing? A perfect swing is something that duplicates itself under pressure. Yeah. Okay, So that person, I could have told him, under pressure, using what ideas or what methods have you hit the best shots under pressure, with what Joe was telling you. Okay, this is about what works under pressure. Right. So that's where you've had the most success. I would really go see and really get into what that is, because that's produced the most good shots when you needed them over anything you've done.
Well, you only have 20 minutes to talk to yourself, and I know that one of the phrases that you use all the time is, don't just play golf, understand it. Because I think it's so important that you do understand it, because if you don't understand it, you're going to be very easily led astray and led off track. So what are you going to say to yourself at 26 that's going to help you understand why that Joe Nichols stuff works so well?
The other thing I would tell that 26-year-old is, here's the biggest problem you're having with a golf swing. And I've just written a book that's just finished. It's called The Invisible Swing. Right. It's the biggest thing I've learned in 50 years of being in this game. You cannot see a golf swing. You see effects. There's all these forces around you. What you have to feel like you're doing with a golf club to make it show up and show the pictures that you want to see aren't what the pictures look like. So what it feels like and what you have to feel like you're doing with the club to get it to do what everybody looks on a video and sees is different than what those positions would elude. So whenever I see somebody out there, which I did it for, I mean, I'd take the club back and I'd practice getting right here. I'd practice over and I'd hit, and then I'd even take the club right to there, and then I'd hit balls from there.
Because all your heroes are here in Impact, and you're here.
So
you think, let me just go right to that spot.
So I'd practice, and then I'd start adding a little, and pretty soon, but as soon as I'd try to add speed to it and I'd try to get there and hit it, the freaking ball would go sideways. Well, because that position happens because of multiple other forces happen, and that position is almost natural and a natural reaction to those other forces. So what I would tell him, Mike, listen, what Joe is showing you, it's what you have to feel you're doing in your swing to get the forces around you to make the swing work the way you want it to work. It doesn't look like
You'll get
a
all
swing.
those good-looking pictures and all those good positions by feeling something that
makes no sense.
Counterintuitive, yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
That was the biggest thing where Joe was miraculous with, is he knew how to get things to happen with drills that you'd go, what is that? But you'd do it, and all of a sudden, bang, you'd hit the ball. Yeah. And and if I saw a picture of it or something, all of a sudden I'm going, well, it feels like I'm doing this, but when I look at it on a graph check, because we didn't have video back then, or you'd VHS tapes, we'd tape them and then look at it, and I'm going, well, now, when I'm doing the drill, it looks funny, but when I try to do that in my swing looks better than it looks when I'm trying to do that. And I didn't get it. I just, something didn't process at that time. It does now, because now I get it. I know why what he taught was an instinctive way to utilize these forces of what the club's trying to do and what your body's trying to do, to be able to offset all these forces to get everything to work together to create a consistent pattern that was duplicatable under pressure. And so that's what I would tell him. Go back to who you had the most success with, which was Joe, and understand from my history that what he's going to ask you to do and what you're going to practice is not what it's going to look like when you put it to full speed. Mm-hmm. It's not going to. Yeah. And once you understand these forces and you start to understand what that's doing, you'll really understand a golf swing, and it won't get away from you. And I would have had a 10 times better career. The other thing is Joe always wanted me to strengthen my left-hand grip.
That's a specific technical thing that you would tell yourself, listen, your grip's too big.
Your grip, I got bullied out of, because when I started, I had a 10-finger, last year high school, first year college, 10-finger, what you'd call a really strong left-hand grip, and right hand right here. Yep. And the first lessons I took, they said, no, that's too strong a grip, and you got your club face too shut, you got to weaken your grip and get the face open, and that was crash. And Joe took me and he says,
had to wait 40 years for that to be in vogue.
Yeah. Well, now everybody's gone stronger.
Right.
Well, but a lot of that's because we're starting to understand anatomy and physiology and how the body actually works and how the joints actually are supposed to work. So all of a sudden, old grips, and with the old technology, see, old balls too, you had to take loft off because you had to hit it low because it spun so much.
Yeah.
So some of that turn the face down stuff was necessary for that spinny ball. Joe said, your grip's gotten it's way too weak and you're having to twist the face too much. He said, get your grip stronger. And even though, you know, I did it, and then I'd do his stuff and I'd hit it well, and then I'd go back out and somebody'd say, my God, your grip's gotten way too strong. You know, and as soon as I'd hook one ball, then I would immediately say, well, my grip's too strong. No, my hand action was off. My grip was actually good. Yeah. That's the other thing. Trust him with the grip and understand that what he's asking you to do and what he's asking you to feel is what you have to feel to make your swing actually show up on a video the way you want it to look.
So another, maybe another thing you might tell yourself in this short amount of time, you might say, hey, listen, right now, you are way too susceptible to the opinions of good players.
Oh yeah, see, I was. Right. Part of my problem was I got, well, and it's hard not to. If I played well, you're a good guy, you're a good husband, you're a good father. You play bad, what the hell are you doing out here? You're practicing and you're playing bad. And I was also interested in what people thought of my swing at that point. I'd ask somebody, what do you think my swing looks like? You know, do you like my swing? And you know what Joe told me the first time I asked him that, I said, so do you like my swing? He goes, I won't even tell you what he said, because he was pretty, you know, he wasn't, politically he wouldn't have worked in today's world. Yeah, but it was like, well, what do you care what it looks like? And I cared. I got to the point because I got so into what a golf swing was supposed to look like. Yeah. And my swing initially when I started, and I'd never seen any pictures because we didn't have them when I started. I'd seen a couple and it kind of looked like what everybody was telling me your swing was supposed to look like. But when I became aware of it and I saw videos, then I was so into what it's supposed to look like. I would say, well, what does it look like at the top? And guys would go, well, you look great. Well, what does it look like on, well, God, your swing is great. And I'm going, why does it feel terrible? Yeah. You know, but it looks good, so I guess I'll go with it. Well, looks are very deceiving. And so, you know, that's another discussion I would have with that 25-year-old is it's not about what somebody else thinks. They don't care. Nobody cares. Yeah. You go out on the range, if you walk out on the range as a player and you go, wow, look who's here, you might as well go home. You walk out on the range, you better walk out there thinking everybody's here to watch you. It's not about them. If all of a sudden you're impressed, well, there's Jack and there's Arnold and there's this guy and that guy and oh my God, here's Watson. How good are these guys? What am I doing here? Well, that would be, that is the answer. What are you doing here?
And the second, and each one of those guys hits a couple terrible shots in a tournament. But the second that Mike Malaska hit a terrible shot and then he had somebody say, well, obviously, look at your grip. Well, yeah. Your entire, everything you've been working on just crumbled.
Well, again, I didn't really understand what a golf swing was. I didn't understand any of it. So I was doing what people told me to do. And it didn't necessarily make sense. I just did it, but I didn't understand it. See, now I understand it. So if somebody comes up to me now and says, well, I'm a little confused with how you grip the club. I'd say, well, here's why I do what I do. Well, I think you should do this. I would say, you know what, I really appreciate that, but bye. Yeah, right. Because I get it now. I know how it works. I know the physiology. I know what neutral is in a golf swing and what we thought it was. So I feel like at this point, everything I've been through has allowed me to have a better understanding of the overall picture of what a golf swing is or isn't and how you develop it. And I wouldn't have been, now knowing what I know now, it's what I had instinctively when I was 18. If I could have taken a hold of the 18-year-old and said, look, you're not going to change anything. You're not going to change your grip. You're not going to change anything. You're going to work on your short game and you're going to mentally get a little better. I would have had a much better career. What would it have been? I don't know. Right. But I know I would have played better because I had better control of the ball. And I played golf the way you're supposed to play. I played it athletically through pictures and feel. Yep. I didn't play it through positions. And when I got into it and tried to get really good, all of that went away and it went totally into positions and feel. No, the feel went away. Positions, repetition, and the positions were supposed to give me a feel. And I damn near went crazy doing it.
Okay. final thing, so the thing that I'm best at probably is just coming up with creative ideas for videos and scenarios.
That is awesome.
So that's what I do. So the final thing that I would say, because I know I've heard you say, and I've heard quotes, I've seen quotes from Ben Hogan and other people saying that under the right hands and under the right set of eyes, an iPhone can be an incredibly valuable tool. But what I just heard you say there is that actually pictures were sabotaging you and stuff. So I want you to imagine that you're going to pull this thing out and you're going to say to 26-year-old stuff, he's like, hey, listen, this is a magical device that they're going to invent in the future, but I'm going to give you one now. It's called an iPhone. And you won't be able to call anybody on it, but you're going to be able to
immediately watch yourself.
Immediately watch yourself, okay? I'm going to give you 5 minutes on what you should look for and how you should actually be using it, because I know that I was talking to a guy that makes a swing app, where that shows this thing, and he's like, you know what? I sell almost all my apps to golf teachers because I found that regular golfers, they just don't even know what to look for. A bad swing, a good swing, they all look the same to them. So what would you tell a 26-year-old Mike Malaska? Here, I'm going to give you this iPhone. Nobody else can see it. Only you can see it. Hide it. But use this. This is how I want you to use it to make your swing better. Forget about seeing this and then trying to hit that spot. What should he do to use that iPhone to get better?
Well, the first thing I would say is I'd say, okay, you want to watch the motion of it and the lack of tension or the lack of control.
So you
want
not even at the 240 frame slow motion, but
no,
at regular speed.
Regular speed.
Yeah, right.
You watch it at regular speed to see the flow of it, and just let your eyes watch the flow of it. And as an athlete that you've watched multiple sports, if there's anything in the sequencing or the flow of it that looks off, fix the flow.
Yeah, a lot of people we see, they're good, but then it's like a little wobble here or something, or there's a little hitch in the giddy up, as they would say at some point.
So just watch the overall motion at full speed. No, doesn't even have to be a specific camera angle. And if you see if it looks too static, if it just doesn't look like it flow, then fix the overall motion that you understand from watching multiple sports.
Yeah, there's a coach that I know that tells his students, actually, hey, take your phone and film yourself from about like 40 yards or 50 yards away.
That's spectacular.
Yeah, and he's like, and just watch that video, because it kind of gives you a blurry overall image of what's going on.
Exactly. So you're not into parts.
Yeah.
If I used it for parts, I'd say, okay, first of all, you got to make sure that the phone is in the right position, so that when you draw a line in that we're going to look at, that you make sure you see the right things, because camera angles ruin me as a player. Because the first time I saw my swing on a graph check camera and they compared me to some other swings, and they showed me what was different, for sure it was different. And it didn't take me long to make swings to make it match. And then about 4 years later, I ran into the guy that took the pictures that this guy compared me to. And he said, did you work with so-and-so? And I said, yeah. Did he use those pictures? Yes. Where was he standing when he took them? And I said, well, he was standing right here. He says, did your swing look steep? I said, yeah. He says, your swing wasn't steep, the camera angle was off.
How far off? 5 feet? 3 feet?
No, like this far.
Oh, okay.
Just that much.
Yeah.
Makes a huge difference in what you're looking at.
Yeah.
So I had spent 3 or 4 years fixing something that wasn't broken, that looked broken because of a bad camera angle.
Right.
That was one of my first epiphanies and want to hurt somebody. So it would be what I'm going to so here's where the camera has to be. So when you look at these next couple of things, you make sure that you're doing them correctly. And then once they did that, I would say, okay, get your baseball bat out, hit a couple of baseballs, and watch where your right arm is, and see how it lines up, and feel how it lines up with the bat.
So from this down the line angle, it should look like those things are
that lines
from like rib high to rib
yeah.
high.
So this lines up with that shaft. So that arm looks like it is from that view. When you run the club into the ball, this arm and that shaft this is right on the back of that shaft.
Show me a way at 26 you might have been off of those.
Well, I know where I was, because I was like this and I'd get up like this.
Okay, so yeah, like if from a 2D view I see this one is on this line.
So I'd get this way, because I'd come into the ball here, and then I was trying to rotate it this way, so my right arm would get up like this. And if I tried to get my right arm in here because of what I was doing with the face, I'd hit it straight over there. So your right arm has to line up with that. That would be one thing. And the other thing is that my lower body, whatever distance it starts from the ball, it has to stay away from it. So your lower body can't move closer to the ball. If you do those two things right there, and then, this is the last thing, I want you to watch from this angle, and as you watch your swing go back, make sure that, first take your baseball bat and make a couple of swings, and watch how when the bat goes back, your body's going forward. So as soon as your arms start to go back, your body goes forward. Take your tennis racket. As soon as the racket starts to go back, your body goes forward.
Baseball, they call that walking the hands away.
Walking away from your hands.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in your golf swing, it's got to get to the point where when the club starts going this way, you start going the other way. So you're walking away from your hands in a golf swing, just like you walk away from your hands in a baseball swing. If you keep that impact position, you stay out of the way and you keep your transition going. And the other thing would be grip. Because I would have told myself, look, don't let this grip go, because it's who you are physically, and it allows this arm, when force hits it, it squares the face and there's no tension in it, so after you hit it, this arm can rotate and fold. And where it wanted to go this way, and so then I had to try to do something to twist. So then my right arm was doing this instead of my right arm getting on the back of the shaft and just accelerating the shaft.
Final question, just so I know. When you're talking about walking the hands away, is that something that's happening at a certain point, or it's like, hey, you're a little bit away from it here, and then you're more because it's...
Yeah.
So, because I think we did a video before, it was where even from here, there's already, if there's a little bit of force in the shaft, there's already going this way.
That's right.
A little bit to balance it.
It is.
And now it's moving a lot, so now that it's...
Well, what happens,
it's
well, do that again, do that again. So what happens is, as the club's going back, you're pushing away from it. Mm-hmm. So you're pushing away just a little bit. Now all of a sudden the club gets here, and what's it doing now? It's going the same direction you're going. Yeah. So as soon as it does that and it starts going, it moves you to your left side. Now you're done. Mm-hmm. Now your lateral's done, and now all you're doing is you're using this to push back away. So the change of directions actually starts the minute the club starts moving back. And then the weight of the club up here moves you to your left side. Now you're at the very top of my swing right here, mm-hmm. Boom. My hands are here. I'm already moved force up to my left foot. Yeah. And then from there all the way down, this is stable. So you're not going back here like this and then moving everything forward at the same time. That's not how you hit a baseball. That's not how you hit a tennis ball. It's not how you do anything, and I didn't until I got talked into it.
Mike, I think I've seen that the center of balance of a golf club is somewhere like here. Is that right?
Yeah.
About right, yeah. And then where is the center of balance or mass of the body? Is it like somewhere inside
they'll call it your center's in here somewhere.
You got this ball, and let's say if I put this like 3 inches inside myself there.
Yeah.
And so that's the center, and this is center. So those two centers are always working apart from each other.
Exactly.
Another guy from the Beehive State, Tony Finau, I think is the best example visually of this. Yeah. With that short backswing where he's here and he's always away from it. I mean, my eye sees anyway. Like, I think really great.
The golf swing is like sports. It's constantly offsetting forces. So you got whatever you got a force going one way, you got another one going another way. The whole static thing in golf, which killed me as soon as they said, okay, get set up, swing up here, stand on your right foot. Now you're at the top and you're loaded. Now that's where you need to get. Now once you get here and you get loaded, then you go. Yeah. I mean, and then they said, okay, now get loaded. Now once you're here, now just be athletic and go. And I would stand there thinking, I don't even know, I don't know how to move from there, because the top, there is no top in a golf swing. There is a start and there is a finish. This is an interim point of the overall motion. And because the club is going this way and you start the other way, and all of a sudden the club has to change directions. So when you stop it, it goes, oh, see, you paused at the top. No. See, that was the other thing. Pause at the top. There's never been a sport where I've paused at the top. Right. As soon as I started trying to pause at the top, then my change of directions got real jumpy.
Yeah, I mean, if you're watching a pitch come in, and you take it back and you wait, I mean, you're struck out by that point.
Oh, you're done.
Yeah, right.
No, or if you throw a ball, if you're a pitcher, if you did this, now I understand here you're loaded, okay? Yeah. But as soon as my arm starts going this way, as soon as my arm starts to go that way, my body goes the other way. If I stood here, then put my arm back here, and then say, now throw it, you'd go, how? I mean, you could throw it, but the sequencing out,
your accuracy and your power would be like,
well, your kinematic sequence, for lack of a better term, would be screwed up.
Yeah.
So kinematic sequence, and another thing that Joe taught me is he said, look, Mike, your change of direction's screwed up. He says, you're way late. I go, what do you mean? I said, well, when should I start? And he goes, well, take your club and start the club back, and I'll tell you when to start your change of directions. Now, I thought he was going to say somewhere up in here.
Yeah.
So I get set up to the ball, and I go, he goes, now. And I went, I went, what? He goes, now. I'm going, Joe, I'm not even back yet. He goes, what do you mean by back? So he says, you got to start changing. The minute the club starts going this way, you start changing directions the other way. And then as the club goes past you, you change directions the other way. So you're going this way and this way. And that's what accelerates the club and keeps it stable in a circle. And I'm going, all these guys were telling me, get stable, finish on your left side, walk through. There was so much crap involved. But so you know, that there again is the misconception. What I would go back to is that whole change of direction. So he said the three things. One would be make sure the camera's right. Mm-hmm. Two, make sure your right arm is like baseball, that it gets on the back of the shaft, so that's compression. Mm-hmm. Your body stays out of the way, and that your sequence, that your motion is like your motion is for every other sport. Your change of directions is a constant, consistent motion. It isn't a spot.
Yep. Well,
that's it.
The phone booth has arrived, and him and Keanu are going to have to go back to the future, so to speak. And that was great, Mike.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Guys, for more, hopefully interesting content like this, hit the subscribe button. And also go over to Malaska, go to Mike Malaska's YouTube channel, where we're going to be having some exclusive Be Better Golf stuff on his channel in a partnership. And subscribe to Mike's channel as well. You'll see it linked in my, usually linked in one of these corners. So subscribe to Mike's deal as well, and he's got some unique content at MalaskaGolf.com. That Be Better Golf people, if you go over there, you'll get a special discount using the promo code that's in the box below. It's really worth it. The main thing I want you to do is just try it out.
It's almost to the point where I'm paying them to use it.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you next time. Bye. Okay, have a little water, and then I'll put this thing on.
Okay.
Now that nobody's here.